The Department of Community Development, Family and Humanitarian Affairs, CDFHA, is conducting info sessions in the different districts on preparing for a hurricane and empowering residents with knowledge, tools, and skills to engage in planning and preparing during or after an emergency or disaster. These sessions are entitled Get Ready, Get Prepared. Info sessions will be held in the Dutch Quarter Community Center, the Seventh-day Adventist School, Cole Bay, and the Sister Maria Lawrence Primary School, Mid-Origin. The topics during these info sessions are first aid and CPR, hurricane tropical cyclone development, evacuating miners, strengthening your mental and emotional well-being before and after a storm, hurricane insurance, enhanced vulnerability and capacity assessment, safety and security and shelter management. Chantal Groeneveld, head of CDFHA, provided a general overview of how shelters are managed, the different types of shelters, and what to bring to a shelter.
An emergency shelter is a building where you can seek safety in case that there is a hazard. You would seek shelter in an emergency shelter because you feel that your dwelling will not be able to stand the hurricane, or you have been requested to vacate an area and you would then need a shelter.
This past week, there was an info session at the St. Peter's Community Center where several speakers spoke about the above-mentioned topics.
The cyclone is a rotating, organized system of clouds and thunderstorms. So you need to have this set of clouds. It will not happen on a clear day. So it has to have this system in order to develop, and it develops in the tropics, where we call the tropics, between 0 and 30 degrees north or south of the equator. For those who do not know, the equator is the line that divides the Earth into two, okay? So it has first a closed circulation. You will hear during the hurricane season, they'll tell you they don't call it a hurricane as yet, because there is no closed circulation. A closed circulation means it has, in a circular, like this, in a circle, the same amount of pressure at the points to form a circle. So this is a closed circulation. Another thing it has, it rotates in an anti-clockwise direction. So in the northern hemisphere where we live, the hurricanes and storms rotate in an anti-clockwise direction. In the southern hemisphere, they rotate in a clockwise direction. So you see, this is one in the northern hemisphere, anti-clockwise, and in the southern hemisphere, it rotates the other way. Australia and Brazil, down in the south, it would rotate in a clockwise direction. You will hear also terms like typhoons, cyclones, hurricanes, they are all the same thing. In China, you would hear them talk about typhoons rather than hurricanes. In Australia, you hear cyclones, but they are all the same thing.
Let's say you have sewage, right? Sewage in an area. Let's say you have sewage in your community. So let's say the sewage start to go in, it start to contaminate the drinking water, right? So you're affecting your health, then it affects the infrastructure and the services, and then it affects water and sanitation. So it affects you on a larger scale. So when you think about sewage, for example, you can think, okay, it could lead to a cholera outbreak. And then the question is, as a community, do you have the resources to deal with such a situation? So it's very multi-sectoral. So when you think about hazards and risks, it doesn't happen in just one silo. It could affect multiple different sectors.
Court of Guardianship, we have 3 departments within the Court of Guardianship. Child protection. Those are social workers who are dealing with kids or minors, making sure that minors are safe within their home or within the school. And then talking about abuse. We hope that children are not being abused by their parents or being abused by any person.
Where's the nearest shelter in St. Peter's? Wait, we're in it, right? Okay, so it's good to know where your shelters are in the event that you need to move, so at least you know what kind of risk you're putting yourself at to in the event that that help can't come to you immediately. And that should also be included in your plan of actions as well. Starting from the 1st of June, we should all be in a community spirit, and that should be at all high. This counts for every neighborhood in the planning phase. And of course, your level of preparedness, what I'm going to do. And of course, it was mentioned already, your vulnerabilities in the areas. All of those, as a small example, if you know Henry is living on Strawberry Road, you know Henry is in a wheelchair, there should be someone next to Henry's family, at least, who could assist in the event that the family can't reach there before.
So for the steps for CPR, the first thing that you need to ensure is that you have a safe scene. Okay. You do not run into any burning buildings. I'm going to. Yeah, so we do not run into any burning buildings. If you want to help someone that is unconscious and they have a dog that's constantly barking, the scene is not safe. You don't want to go and try and help someone and then, the building collapses because it's burning. Or you try to go and help the person and their dog tries to attack you and then you become a victim as well. So the first thing you need to ensure before helping someone is the scene safe, and is my safety also taken into account. Once the scene is safe, then you will check for responsiveness. Yeah, tap the person to see if they're going to move, shake, maybe blink their eyes. So do not softly tap them. You need to shock them out in case they're, still breathing, etc. If there is no responsiveness, then you need to shout for help. Help! Help! Yeah? Call someone, ask someone to call 911. Make eye contact. You call 911. Because if you leave it general, then some people might not want to take that responsibility onto themselves. All right, so you shouted for help. The next step is check for breathing. To check for breathing, you look for chest rise. You from up maximum 10 seconds. If you see there's no chest rise, the person is not breathing, then you will begin CPR. All right, usually CPR is done on the floor, but so everyone can see, we're doing it on a table. So you do 30 compressions, and if you know the song, Staying Alive, you can use that tempo, 100 to 120 beats per minute. That is the rate that you will go with compressions. After you have completed 30 compressions, you will get 2 breaths. However, the giving of 2 breaths is only for persons that you know and you're comfortable putting your mouth onto their mouth. So whether it's a spouse, a sibling, your parents, your children, we are not going to give mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to a person in a dark alley that you've never met before in your life. Okay? Not everyone has the. If you want to take the risk, you can take a piece of plastic and put it over their mouth and make a hole to still try and give some breaths. However, if you're not comfortable doing that, then what you would do is hands-only CPR. In other words, you continuously give compressions at the rate of 100 to 120 beats per minute.
With the property insurance, what you're insuring is, first of all, building. Who insures the building? The owner of the building or the home is the one that insures it, so not the tenant. Why I want to make that clear is because during Irma, we were very surprised that a lot of tenants were not aware that they could have insured their contents, which is the second bullet. Meaning, if I am a tenant, these are my contents, so my movables. If they get damaged, the insurance of contents insurance does give you that coverage. You also have where I am a tenant, my landlord right now does not want to install hurricane shutters. I, as a tenant, from my own pocket, can install hurricane shelters, and if a hurricane comes and damages that, I can claim that. This falls under contents insurance. A lot of persons are not aware of that. They more told us like, oh no, but I'm renting, so my landlord is responsible to insure my contents. No, that is not the case, because the landlord does not know the value of your contents. So it's very important that you get a quotation, get the information. I always tell people, get the information and then you assess for yourself if it's needed, yes or no. And contents, you'll be very surprised, it's affordable. You don't have valuables, let's say, of course, with jewelry, paintings, that's something different. But usually our contents might be about $20,000, $30,000. If you put it together, that might cost you about $200-300 a year. So get the information and then you decide for yourself if you would want to do contents insurance.
Hurricanes have been affecting the Caribbean for centuries, and since there is no known way to prevent them, we can expect that they will continue to affect these islands for years to come. Now, what does this mean? It essentially means that hurricanes are beyond our control. Next slide, Rishna. That hurricanes are beyond our control, that they remain a part of our Caribbean experience, and that we can expect them to come. So every year we know around that time, June 1st, that it is our hurricane season. Hurricane is one type of disaster. Next slide, please. However, there are many others, and before I explain the hurricane, I'm going to go into what is a natural disaster. Natural disasters are violent events that are outside the control of humans. They are caused by the forces of nature and may result in loss of life, injury, and damage to property. And there are many types of natural disasters, and these include avalanches, drought, earthquake, flooding, hurricane, tornado, tsunami, volcanic eruption, and wildfire.
For more information, please feel free to send us an email at cdfha@stmartingov.org or contact any of the following help desk. Help Desk Cole Bay 1721-520-4315. St. Peter's Community Help Desk 1721-520-3418. Dutch Quarter Community Help Desk 1721-520-7651.